Good morning, students. Yesterday I started your revision and we did first chapter of Hornbill. In the same sequence, I am going to teach you second chapter again. It is a little bit tough one. Listen to it twice and learn the question answers. Ready for your tests now. The name of the chapter is We Are Not Afraid to Die If We All Can Be Together. In this chapter, there is one narrator who is 37-year-old businessman and along with his wife Mary and his two children, their names are John and Sue, 6-year-old and 7 years old. They went on a voyage means sea journey, on their ship in July 1976. They started from Plymouth, England. They wanted to complete the sea trip around the world just like the one that had been completed 200 years ago by the famous Captain James Cook. The narrator and his wife spent 16 years improving their seafaring skills. They got a ship built professionally, a 23-meter long, it was 30-ton heavy wooden hull called Wave Walker. Its name was Wave Walker and body was made of wood. They took several months to test it in the roughest of weathers. Whenever there was rough weather, they would go to the oceans and they did practice. The initial means beginning phase of the 3-year-long journey of 105,000 kilometers passed pleasantly. The first part of the journey was okay. There was no happening or mishappening. They sailed down the west coast of Africa to Cape Town. The narrator hired 2 crewmen, means 2 sailors, before moving towards the east to tackle the roughest sea, the southern Indian Ocean. Their names were Larry Weasel, an American, and Hob Sizzler, a Swiss. On the second day in Cape Town, they encountered a strong wind which continued for several weeks. A strong wind was not a problem, but 15 meters high waves, which were the height of the mast means the pole of the ship, worried the narrator. Then on December 25, it is a Christmas day, they had travelled 3,500 kilometers east of Cape Town. They celebrated Christmas together despite the bad weather. The weather remained the same till New Year's Day, means January 1, but they hoped for it to change soon. The weather conditions worsened. On the early morning of January 2, the waves were very huge. They were sailing with a small storm jib, a type of a type of sail which saves us from the waves or pressure of wind. At a speed of 8 knot measurement of distance in water. When the ship was sailing with the huge waves, they could see the huge sea in front of them. The noise of the waves and strong winds was painful for the ears. They dropped the storm jib to slow down the ship and hit a heavy mooring rope across the back part of the ship in a loop in a hook. They lashed everything with double force. They put on their oilskins and life jackets, attached lifelines, and went through the life raft drills and waited. Around 6 p.m., an unpleasant silence rolled over. It was an indication of a disaster which was about to happen. The wind suddenly dropped and the sky was darker with heavy clouds. A huge cloud was coming towards the stern means back part of the ship, but later the narrator realized it was a huge wave. The wave was perfectly vertical and it was twice the height of the previous waves they saw, with the top of the wave looking unpleasant due to its height. The thunder increased and the wave moved the stern up. It moved the outer body of the ship very badly. They thought that it would not do any damage, but a huge explosion vibrated the deck, the floor of the ship. A strong moving stream of green and white water broke over the ship. The narrator's head smashed in the wheel of the ship. He flew overboard and sank below the waves. He accepted that his death was approaching and started losing consciousness, and he felt quite peaceful. The narrator's head came out of the water. The ship was about to overturn, but a wave turned her upright. His lifeline jacket was stretched. He grabbed the guard rails and sailed to the ship's main pole. The waves tossed him around the deck. He was injured as his left ribs cracked, his mouth filled with blood, and he had a broken tooth. He found the wheel, lined the back part for the next wave, and waited. There was water everywhere. The narrator could feel water below the ship, but it did not leave the wheel alone. Suddenly, the front door opened and his wife Mary came shouting that they were sinking. She said, "The decks are smashed," means broken. "We are full of water." The narrator gave her the wheel and climbed towards the door. The crewmen, Larry and Hubby, were pumping the water very fast like madmen. The timbers of the ship were broken and were hanging badly. The starboard of the ship had sunk. Clothes, crockery, chart, tins, and toys were roaming around in deep water. The narrator swam and crawled to the children's cabin and asked the children whether they were all right. The children replied yes. Sue, his daughter, complained about a big bump on her head. The narrator did not pay much attention to it as his major concern was to save them. The narrator found screws, hammer, and canvas. He went back to the deck. The broken starboard side was letting so much water in. If the narrator could not fix the problem, they would all sink in the sea. That was certain. The narrator stretched the canvas cloth and secured the waterproof hatch which covered the gaping holes. Some water streamed below and some was now deflecting over the side. The hand pump was blocked as rubbish was floating around the cabins and entered it. The electric pump short-circuited. As the water level rose, the narrator found 2 hand pumps had been removed along with a rope, jib, a small boat, and the main anchor. He found another electric pump under the chart room. He connected it to an out pipe and it started working. The whole night was about the endless routine of pumping out the water, steering the wheel, and working the radio. There were no replies to their signals sent over the radio as they were in the remotest part of the world. Sue's head was now more swollen and she had two black eyes with a deep cut in her arm. When upon being asked why she did not tell him about her injuries earlier, she said that she did not want to worry him as he was trying to save all of them. The water level was under control by the morning of January 3, so all of them took 2 hours rest in rotation. But there still was a leak somewhere below the water line. Upon checking, the boat rib structure was badly broken down till the base of the ship. The whole section of starboard was held together with a few cupboard partitions. The ship's condition was so bad that it would not make it till Australia. The narrator checked the charts and calculated that there were 2 small islands a few kilometers to the east. One of them was Isle Amsterdam, which was a French scientific base. Their only hope was to search and reach that island, but only if the wind and the sea do not cause further damage. Else, their chances were slim and the wave had destroyed the ship's additional engine as well. And students, rest of the story I will send tomorrow. Listen to this video twice and learn the question answers. Thank you.